Well, good morning. On this wonderful Sunday, we are here to bring you a winners bracket round 3 match for Link to the Past Randomizer as part of SGL. And of course, this is winners bracket. The winner of this match is going to be able to go on and advance to the round of 32, which will actually take place in the main week of Speaking Live. So lots of stuff on the line. We've got two very, very talented runners, high execution. We have Acktheboker facing werfjig. And today I'm actually joined on commentary with actually another top 32 already qualified into the bracket, Matt 798. Matt, how are you doing? Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm doing well. This should be a super fun matchup. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, and so I think maybe you're potentially scouting out a potential future opponent as part of this as well.
Maybe. I'm not sure where these guys are in the bracket, but
So I think at least their next round. So okay, so winner goes and face Flipteal because I think that side was already determined, and then the person who does not end up getting the better end of the stick will face Hayfield Bay in their final moment in this, well, not final moment, but I mean in their redemption arc in order to try and make it into like the loser side of this double elimination bracket.
Okay, that's interesting because I played Hayfield Bay in this, so I could have been matchup against one of these guys.
Yeah, and in fact, actually, I mean, so top 128 already, was pretty stacked, and the fact that we're already here, in nearing the round of 32 is like the talent here is very real. And like so, Ack, famously, of course, finished I think top 2 in one of the main tournaments, not the one before. But also werfjig and Ack demonstrating that they know how to use these starting boots to their fullest advantage. Because I think it was actually werfjig earlier in the tournament who finished a seed without the hookshot or the mirror. So. Yeah.
Oh really? So he did the, I guess, what, the EDM hover?
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Wow, that's like super rare. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like it's actually pretty insane. Like normally, because you think of like, oh, casual boots modified with a hard item pool, it's gonna really showcase some execution, which it certainly has. By the way, that's certainly true for many races. Also, it showcased that if you know a little bit more technique, perhaps it can certainly help you out.
Yeah, that's really interesting. The other nice thing, obviously, we've got cameras for this race. We see werfjig kind of slapping himself awake already, so he looks like a pretty animated character. So this should be pretty entertaining from both the gameplay and the face cam.
Oh heck yeah! And this is actually one of the best parts. The thing about SGL, right, is that you actually get to put a face to the people behind the gameplay and behind the Link sprites, in order to actually see their reactions. So certainly 2019 SGL was actually in person, right? So you had a lot more cameras actually facing and capturing every moment of the player's experience. But of course here, just because we had important to do these things more in an online fashion, I think it was a really nice idea in order to require webcams, because it really does simulate a live experience.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of this hard item pool, we're already getting blue mail out of the map chest in Hyrule Castle. So maybe a little bit of relief on these guys' faces, because you can have these early game seeds, especially if getting the Dark World early and with really low health. So having that blue mail, which is the highest level mail you can get, can be pretty good.
Yeah, and of course the quote unquote boss of Hyrule Castle is the ball and chain guard. Many of runner have had quite a few number of close calls when dealing with him, especially not only sometimes even getting to him to begin with, but when you're there and you accidentally take damage with that on green mail, it's one heart, right? And suddenly you're on half a heart, and you could panic. And dying right here without resting, dying here in general is going to be not going to be fun for morale for the rest of the seed.
Yeah, both runners not getting hit by the ball and chain guard, so really well done. Both of them, you see them kind of slashing them towards the entrance to the door. You don't have the boomerang in, for the most part, in SGL, so it's good to get them over there. So good technique on both their sides.
Yeah, I actually really do appreciate I would like to say at least from a viewer's perspective, it seems like the movement is very subtle, but it's actually very like precise, and I think it's also, as you said, like planned, right? Because one thing about this game is that when you actually look, especially like top runners, you know, everything they do, they make it seem really easy, right? It's like, oh yeah, of course, you just slash the guy 8 times, and like, you know, it's not a problem. Oh, this green guard never gets in my way. Like, you know, what do I have to worry about? And you actually go try it, and you're like, oh no, many things that could go wrong here. So it's really actually be able to like see like what proper technique and execution actually does for rooms.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Movement is the #1 most important skill in this game, and it is sometimes a little bit difficult to see what the difference is between good and bad movement, but sometimes when you get these side-by-side escapes, it becomes pretty apparent pretty quickly, but these guys are pretty much in lockstep coming out of the basement.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes it's just, especially when you put two top runners kind of like next to each other, right? The fact that they are in sync actually like sometimes could be like maybe just a bit more subtle to try and appreciate, or maybe I don't want to say like taken for granted, but it's just harder to see, like as you said, like the difference, right, between good and bad movement, because you put two really good movements, you know, next to each other. It's just like, oh, of course, you know, that's standard, right? It might be standard for this tournament, but you know, certainly this is going to be somewhat more, I would say, like the cream of the crop, you know, type of level of runners.
Yeah, we're getting down to this kind of top 32, top 16. You're starting to see some of the names you would expect. You're also seeing some like a few surprises. This is a single elimination, so you are going to get some upsets. But usually in these tournaments, you start to see some familiar names, and these guys are definitely familiar names.
Oh yeah, yeah. And in fact, I mean, and also, you know, this is Randomizer. It's not always, you know, the, I would say, quote unquote favored runner to always, you know, take the win, just because you have to play for where the items are. Hey, speaking of items, that mirror is actually going to come really handy, especially with that blue mail. Death warping, well, okay, earlier on, you probably want the protection sooner rather than later, just because, you know, you don't want to take, let's say, an unplanned overworld death warp. But I mean, you know, the fact that now we have a mirror is that we don't actually have to do anything, like, we don't have to like slowly death warp because of that blue mail, right?
Yeah, that is kind of nice to get that mirror after you've got the meal upgrade. I believe we got a map in here, right, Clearmo? So we're going to see, you can add one to the counter. Yep, you're adding one to the counter. There you
We
go.
actually have demonstrated exactly. Man, these counters are so good, right? That werfjig actually was counting items and realized that there was no map. In fact, I actually didn't realize that there was also no map. But luckily, though, werfjig has kept track of everything, and to be able to just like conveniently like dash straight down right after you exit escape is actually just super nice.
Yeah, we also saw the runners pick up a pair of flippers in escape.
Oh,
So
right. We're supposed to probably be like talking more about the race, huh?
it's escape. No, it's not a whole lot to talk about, right? We got this whole orderly game. But yeah, so that puts a few more items in logic. It gets you thinking about the Zor play. You might see these guys going out of their way for some rupees, checking these bush crabs and tree poles. Bombs are nice, but you got 9 bombs in escape, so it's not super helpful. So it's kind of standard in these seeds now to check Aga. That is a blue boomerang, so we will not see werfjig swearing himself there for going down the stairs. But
well, you know what? I did the exact same thing, and sometimes, you know, like these icons, like for the most part, especially for the common items that you don't care about, right? Like heart piece, right? Red rupee, you know the bottom couple pixels. So once you see it, you're like, oh yeah, like I don't need that. But then there's some other items, you know, for example, that blue boomerang, maybe you can't actually see as well. So you just want, you know, like it's much better to take your extra 2 seconds, go downstairs, make sure you don't need it, then let's say, you know, you dash over, let's say, to like race game, you think it's you know, you think it's like a rupee, and then you don't realize it's something much more important, you know, like a bow.
Yes, we got a moon pearl here in the Lost was dropped down, and so you notice they picked up that cape in the mushroom spot. So
early
might
know.
be thinking potential Aghanim. What is worth? Oh, is he setting up a like a water walk here to go to Ice Rod Cave? So I see a lot of people doing this. I'm going to admit, I don't really fully understand why people do this in casual boots, but it is a very interesting and novel kind of routing strategy that I'd never really seen before this tournament.
Yeah, so okay, so at least what I've heard from, you know, I guess just like murmurings is that the goal is if you don't immediately go to Kakariko, you can hopefully try and pick up one of like the 2 things that you might want to come back for. For example, if you find a bottle here where you can check Second immediately, probably the most important part one is the flute. So you can find the flute here specifically in Ice Rock Cave, then you can go to Kakariko one time, basically just activate it, right? You don't have to like come back. That is what I heard. Brian actually pointing out in chat, he actually does bring up a good point. Maybe this is also just part of werfjig's muscle memory. As you also mentioned, Matt, they picked up the flippers and escaped. So I guess maybe he didn't have to necessarily set up the water walk, but maybe this way is like faster.
Yeah, that is kind of the other reason why I was wondering what he was doing, because he does have the flippers. Because kind of the downside to this is, right, like this kind of standard opening route in these casual boot Cs is to do this water walk. But if you're going to go to Ice Rod Cave and do these checks, it's very unlikely that you're going to have Zora money. And Zora is currently in Logic, so werfjig taking a little bit of a risk here. But with that mirror, he could have it in his mind that I can now route Catfish and Zora together, and so it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, he also does find one of our 4 empty bottles that are placed in the item book. We only hang on to 2 of them. It was actually pretty fortunate because he was right there in Waterfall Fairies, and he actually got a free green potion. Based on the pixels, it looks like it was just a heart piece on Zora Ledge.
And so, like you were saying, Clearmouse, right? You got the bottle, in Logic bottle, so that is one of the potential advantages to doing that, right? He will now be able to check Sick Kid. I see Ack going through Kakariko, not really finding a whole lot based on his tracker, and he, as of right now, will not be able to check the Sick Kid.
Yeah, so I mean, so we did end up picking up, at least according to tracker, Link Force, who is doing all the work today, clicking the buttons behind the scenes, keeping us honest. He did, looks like, pick up a glove, so that's certainly going to give him some more accessibility. One step closer to Dark World access. We find a vanilla book, looks like, on the library. So is this Desert Palace access? There's no fire source, so it's still not, super appealing, I think, because you can't clear it. But also, we don't really have a good weapon in order to take down Lamnos either.
Yeah, so that might change up his routing of the South Shore a little bit. He might not grab the dam right away to be able to save that for potential dam to desert play if he gets a fire source in, say, Mini Moldorm Cave.
Yeah, so ideally they would just find the fire rod, right? So if you have the lamp, it's like, well, actually, so okay, if you have the lamp, are you thinking Ida, Matt? Or is it too early?
Yeah, it's kind of tough to start thinking Ega before going to Mini Moldorm Cave. And if you get the lamp, right, it does put I guess it's a pendant desert. We did get a map check, getting 2 Light World pendants at Desert and Hera. So, yeah, I guess you don't really have a whole lot to do in the Dark World yet, but we kind of got to wait and see what we get out of some of these South Shore checks.
Yeah, so I guess other than okay, sorry, we did pick up also the very important Fighter Shield, which is also our maximum for these settings. In addition to that glove, so hopefully Ack's gonna be able to find a little bit more. We did already see that Ice Rod Cave didn't have anything on werfjig's side, so. So I guess we have Mini Moldorm Cave left. We have Akina. We can. So I guess actually we can get Desert Ledge as well. So we have that book, and whatever I guess is inside Desert.
Yeah, so potentially 4 checks over there. So I think what happens in this Mini Moldorm Cave will dictate what Act does. Because if he finds a fire source and not enough money for Zora, I think you may see him heading towards Desert. But I think he might be doing some routing on the fly, which is still kind of to be determined.
That's the best part about Rando, is that you get to determine what you're going to do next in, I don't know, like 5 seconds before you actually go do it.
Yeah, we've seen only $50 coming out of Sick Kid there. So
yeah. But speaking of, Act just picked up 300 from Mini Moldorm Cave, and as well as another $50. So I think he's gonna have enough. He's gonna have enough Zora money. So, so if something is on Zora, I mean, it's still possible that werfjig goes back, but the fact that he did also check Zora Ledge, somewhat makes it he's less incentivized, right? Because then he's running all the way back there basically for 1 check.
Yeah, I believe he also skipped Hobo as well.
Oh, so right, yeah.
Well, we're definitely going to see that out of Ack, I think. So Werf kind of is locked into doing some of these same. So you might see him go Mini Moldorm Cave left, or maybe he's going to check the hospital quickly to try and get that fire source. I guess this kind of makes sense as well. Oh no, he's going Hobo to the hospital?
Yeah, maybe he is just going to take a quick peek on the island. Nope, he's swimming. Okay, so this is going to be our Hobo check, which is also, of course, as the fact that they are actually swimming is in logic. Maybe he's also hoping that Hobo has some more money for him. If he's kind of already in the area, I don't know. Is it faster to swim back to the portal versus save and quit? Yeah, nice
If you're
usage of
going
his
where?
shield.
If you're going to the hospital, I think it's still faster to save and quit. I used to do this, and then I kind of decided that it wasn't worth it, but I could be wrong. I never actually timed it.
Okay, so at least it looks like he is, after getting $20 off of Hobo, which, you know, might even be a bit rich for Hobo standards, but he is not interested in continuing.
All right, so we're going, yeah, so he's going right. So this tells me he's planning to head from Mini Moldorn Cave back to Dam Desert. I gotta say, worth keeping it interesting. These are some interesting early game routing, seeing something
Yeah.
a little bit different when we're seeing people doing all kind of the same checks before we start getting into the dark world.
Yeah, and well, it certainly does seem currently though we're kind of getting somewhat more bottleneck, just because both the runners are giving us like some pretty divergent checks, right? But we're still missing that kind of like last piece, right? Master Sword would be good. We'd like some, maybe a lamp, another glove, hammer, right? Ack doesn't look super happy the fact that he picked up a bottle this late, because, you know, like from his perspective, right, this is another in logic check, and he has to go basically back all the way to Kakariko for, you know, just to turn that bottom in order to get progression. It's you know, it still can take some time.
At this point, yeah, that sick kid check is fairly isolated for him. Luckily for him, it won't punish him unless he decides to do it as a one-off, but I don't really see him doing that given what he has available. So this is a bit of a big moment here, seeing what we have on King Zora.
So after this, oh man, that is.
All right, so neither runner
yeah.
punished from the other's advantage. So
Yeah.
we're kind of fair play here, right? Nothing on Zora, nothing on Sick Kid. We're kind of back to a level playing field.
Yeah, so actually it looks like then werfjig and potentially Ack, actually, the fact that he's starting from Link's house maybe means that they're going to go towards a similar direction. Looks like actually werfjig is going to give us a quick Agina check first before we head over to Desert.
Yeah, you kind of got to check Agina first here because it could be a lamp. Yeah.
And yeah, I was going to say, yeah, just in case for a fire source or something.
You could go to the hospital here. Like, because you have a glove, you don't really quite lose as much time if you have to go back to Eastern, because you can take that different route. But kind of the game's kind of telling you that Desert Palace is where it wants you to go. So it obviously makes perfect sense that both these guys would go in that direction. And plus it's a pendant, right? You could get everything done here that you need to get done anyway.
Oh yeah, that's true. We can see both items because Lama only can hold one item in this case, right? And, I mean, dungeon item plus actual item. And so if we can just find everything in the front, we don't have to actually worry about the fire source at all. It would still feel better, of course, if we have something, right? Because at least, because right now I think they've actually exhausted like most of the checks, certainly between them two, and we still don't have like any new thing, I guess, to move us forward.
Yeah, all we got left in logic here is just this and Sasra. So I will say that werfjig's a little bit ahead, right? And it's like a sick kid check versus a Zora check. So maybe his interesting light world form as we get the Titansmiths in Desert.
Right. So. Yeah. Okay. So that's certainly one piece. So we now have access. We can't actually do anything in Desert yet without that in Dark World without that Moon Pearl. But I guess we also have a potential Eastern Palace. A couple checks in there as well. It is a crystal, and we don't have a bow, so it's not like it seems like runners don't like to, I guess, like go over there if it's a crystal.
Yeah, this is really awful Dark World access. Having Mitts and Moon Pearl, you have a mirror, which makes it a little bit better. But like, you might see these guys run into a quick hospital check just to maybe get them a fire res worth. Just be a little careful, man. There you go.
Why do you have double heartbeats, man? It's not good for us either. Okay, at least we got both items out of Desert. Oh. And I really actually care about the fact that we don't have to listen to the double heartbeats anymore. It doesn't actually matter whether or not we're actually finished.
All right, so it looks like we're going to dive right into the Dark World here. Oh, I guess the quick Kingsuit check first makes sense as well, obviously.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if you know this map, but like I've seen runners like when they go to Kingstoon from Sank. Some take the bottom route that Werf just did, and then some take the top route. Like, do you know which is faster? Like, what Ack's doing right now?
Yeah, Ack's doing the faster route.
Okay, all right, cool. That is good to know.
Yeah, and like these guys could have waited to do this graveyard ledge, but it really doesn't make much of a difference. And graveyard ledge is something that you can decide to skip in this situation.
Oh yeah, well I guess so. Actually, they have the cape, right? So is that like something plausible that if they're gonna go check Bumper Ledge with that cape in North Dark World, they just kind of combine it with Graveyard Ledge?
Yeah, I think that would be likely what they're going to do. So like with this really bad Dark World access, you're kind of forced to start clearing things. I see we got a Pendant Skull Woods, our last pendant, and Swamp and Ice as the 5/6.
Oh man, you're so fast to be able to catch these map checks. I literally see like the screen like flash and then like it's gone, but you apparently have everything. I guess this is what it takes to be a top 32 runner. So.
There you go. See, both opting to skip the Pendant Skull Woods, so Big Dunka in shambles right now. But
you know, just because they're maybe just deferring it, right? And they're not necessarily skipping it first. You know, perhaps they're interested in seeing some of the easier checks here are in Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, and the other thing, like with Dark World access kind of this bad, maybe you want to do Thieves Town with a hammer. It's not that bad to just like kind of take a lap, as I like to call it. Just maybe even not go into Thieves Town at all and just do all the overworld. Hope you get a hammer or a flute so you have a good reason to come back here.
So I guess like would you would still do Smith Chain, I guess, in this situation then? You would, I guess, be isolating like hammer pegs in this case, and potentially bat, but we don't have anything for bat right now.
Yeah, but the thing is because you didn't go into Skull Woods, if you're coming back to Thieves Town with a hammer, you can just do Thieves Town, hammer pegs, and then maybe go into Skull Woods if you've nothing better to do. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to. There's a lamp. That's always kind of nice to have.
That lamp. Well, it is our fire source, and the fact that we are actually playing, I guess, in the morning, for it looks like, or maybe early afternoon for these guys, means that we're not going to see anything dark, either in game or I guess in real life.
So we already got 2 items out of the front here. So
Ack is like a screen or so behind werfjig at this point because basically just trying to, I guess, like maybe as you said, Matt, like they're just basically going to take like their southward loop, right? Kind of warp out after the front 4, especially they got 3. They got 3 out of the 4, right? So there's only one thing in the back, and this is going to be a pendant, so maybe not worth their time in this case. Or
no, this is a crystal.
Oh, this is a crystal. No, I'm sorry. Oh, you're right. Okay, so then the chances of, I guess the chances of them being able to, I guess, like isolate the one item left in the big chest is maybe a little bit lower, right?
Yeah, so it's not that much of a gamble to go to the back here.
Right, we even just talked about the fact that Skull Blitz is our last pendant.
So yeah, this makes sense. It's a little bit more efficient, right? To obviously get Thieves Town done in one go. You're on a bit low equipment, but Thieves Town's not that hard of a dungeon to get through. Nice hallway dash there.
Yeah, especially if you just don't have anything in your way, you can just dash right up that hallway the first time, like on the first try. Now, of course, they do have blue mail as well, so it does give them a little bit more safety. It's not going to be like super terrible, right? These crickets do 2 hearts of damage normally, but oh no, Ack! Oh no, Ack! Oh my gosh!
Remember that cave, but he survived. So I will say, wow. Ack got the hellway dash and actually read the difficult RNG to stop. So that was actually really well done on his side to not get completely bodied.
Yeah, no, I mean, Ack is known for not panicking under pressure. It looks like he's going to pick up a little bit more magic. He does have that cape, so certainly would not be surprised if he chooses to at least quick swap over to it just in case. Especially maybe like on the blind fight too.
Yeah, Ack looks pretty calm in the pixels I can make out on his camera there.
It's Ack the no lamp in some way, shape, or form.
All right, did they get what did they get out of the attic chest? Did you see that?
You know what? I don't actually know. I think it was a dungeon item. I was so like panicked for the fact that Ack was just trying to survive.
All right, so we're seeing from our great tracker here that it was the compass. So a little, nice fairy drop. He almost took a heart to get a heart there. You don't want to see that key.
All right, so it isn't going to be a 50-50 shot, right? So we can get the map locked in the big chest, which is what we want, and we want blind to drop the item. But if we get a map here, I guess in this case both runners are going to isolate that item. So at least it's not going to be any real gain for either runner or any
and then, like, getting that key means your hammer could be on blind now. So maybe it's not a bad thing, right? If there's an item on blind and not in the big chest.
Yeah, so werfjig, you see him with the cape out on the white button just in case, but he's hopefully just gonna follow the script and not have to worry about any damage as he needs 3 more hits here to kill blind.
Really nice fight.
Yeah, easy. As long as you just follow everything. And we got the item. It's not anything useful, but the fact is we don't have to isolate anything here in Thieves Town. So, all right, so hopefully Ack will have just a nice little fight.
Yeah, looking good so far in that first cycle. Very nice. That was perfect for Fighter Sword Blind. That was really good.
Nice job both to Ack and to werfjig. All right, so it looks like the werfjig is going to be the first one, of course, out of Thieves Town, going to take his lots of money because he hasn't gone to Zora yet, and basically pay off in this case and hopefully get something good from the digging game. Okay, we'll take that. We will. Okay, so we do know that we're going to get a flute eventually. There are also potion shops, scattered about the Dark World. An extra bottle, especially in current circumstances, is certainly not going to hurt. Either of our 2 runners.
Yeah, did Ack check Sick Kid when he went into Kakariko?
He did not.
Yeah, so that bottle might remind him to do that now on his way back to get the Smith. He might have been planning to do that on his way back anyway, but certainly a nice reminder for him. So yes, still not a whole lot here in these Dark World checks, but we're going to get quite a few overworld checks kind of in a sequence now with this Smith chain into the South Dark World.
Yeah, the fact that they also have the mirror is super nice. I mean, they have the mirror and they got the early book. I mean, because, like, we did see progression was in the form of Titan's Abyss in Desert Palace, but, now we check, we can check all the way, go to Bombo's tablet with that book as well.
We're doing that quick hop a little early there, just dropping his chest off in the wrong place. With no hook shots, it's a bit of a pain to drag this rope chest around, but once you get past Cave 45, you can start moving fast again.
I guess no shovel either, right? So they're not going to be able to. I guess when eventually they find it, they're going to have to make maybe potentially like a one-off in order to check the dig spot.
Yeah, the worst is when you check Cave 45 and then you drop off your purple chest, and then Stumpy gives you vanilla shovel. Then you're like, oh, what do I do now? But hopefully that doesn't happen to these guys. Okay, after remembering to check Sick Kid.
Yeah, perhaps in this case he just needed a reminder. As you said, like from the dig game. Is slowly racking up the wealth. Unfortunately, probably nothing immediate in order to spend it on. All right, so in this case, it looks like werfjig did pick up not the shovel, so it's going to be good news for our runners. And you can see that he is moving over and dashing without the purple chest, but as we're going to see very momentarily, is just going to appear when he mirrors over to the light world. Assuming he mirrors near the guy and not past the guy when he goes and checks Bombo's tablets.
Yeah, that looks. Well, not both Smith checks giving the $5 here, so we're going to be able to see what is on Bombo's tablet, but cannot yet get it. I will point out that they did get a 5th heart from Stumpy, which you don't really like seeing heart pieces, but in this situation, you're not complaining too much about it.
Oh, yeah, and as part of like the modified item pool, looks like that was actually one of
our... A little bit of a tease there.
Yeah, one of our 3 effective heart containers actually in the pool, and everything else, as you said, is going to be heart pieces. I think there are 32 total. And kind of as a result, right, just because we're not going to find as many random heart containers, their health is going to be very gradual, as demonstrated by the fact that they got into Dark World. They're doing Thieves now basically on, for now 5 hearts in Dark World.
I gotta point out on werfjig's side, this is a little spicy here. He is checking the first chest in Swamp Palace.
Yeah, I was actually what I was going to wonder, and I was going to ask you, like, do you think either runner here, because they have logical access, is going to check this either before or after Hype Cave?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the person. I certainly wouldn't do it before Hype Cave, but hey, you never know, though. Maybe this is the kind of galaxy brain. werfjig, it does look like werfjig is just trying to be as efficient as possible. So it's definitely a decent style of play.
Do you think there's any type of like metagaming going on as well? As in, like, you know, if he thinks that maybe he is at a disadvantage against Ack, like he needs to, you know, do some checks that Ack may not necessarily do, or maybe he just thinks that he just needs to be more thorough in this
Yeah,
case.
I don't know. It is kind of hard to metagame in rando. Like the only real thing, in my opinion, that you can do is just like it's like how aggressive is my opponent, and then you can kind of adjust your style based on that. But like I don't think that is a metagame play, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, so at least certainly, if it did something, well, Act though, finding probably the one worthwhile item, basically in like the entire Dark World overworld at this point, finds finally the hookshot out of Hype Cave. I can't discount that heart container though from the bat-like man, not the bat, because right now like that's basically one of well, we know like we're in this case 2 of the heart containers are out of the 3, so certainly not going to be inconsequential.
Yeah, kind of interesting here. You've seen Ack. Looks like he must be doing the Pyramid Catfish play, I think. So, like, Pyramid Fairy is locked behind quite a few items at this point. And you've seen both of them do this, but without the hammer, kind of going around with the flippers is a little slow. But it is tough to get back here.
Yeah, I guess like that's kind of, it seems like it's also kind of like a consequence of just like only having this for Dark World access, especially without the hammer. Sometimes you just, especially when you're just playing, you kind of go on autopilot, and it's like, oh yeah, of course I can get to the pyramid, the quote unquote normal way, right? I can always hammer down these pegs because you know I always have the hammer.
See, we're going into pod actually. We're just playing pretty spicy here. Like
so this is a hammerless, bowless dip in this case.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out there is only one bow in this mode, right? So the chances of finding a bow in pod are cut in half. Yeah, he gets his hospital check-in as well, which is kind of nice too.
Yeah, it looks like though Ack's going to take a quick detour over to Graveyard Ledge before probably going over to Catfish. And as you mentioned, Matt, like as part of the SGL settings for the modified hard item pool, this is probably one of the only settings that you'll actually see a non-progressive bow. So if you actually end up seeing our runners pick up actual like AG silvers, those are silver arrows. You cannot fire them at all without finding the one and only bow. They're just going to look really pretty and shiny on your quiver until you find something that you can actually use it with.
Yeah, and so kind of the argument for doing pod here is that it is really difficult to get back to, right? The only one way to get in the Dark World, and it is that Village of Outcast location, and they've already really checked everything, right? So coming back here, like if the hammer is here, you're really never getting back here.
This is a terrible spot for a hammer. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh, Ack is going up the mountain, actually.
Yeah,
so this is
the play that I think most people would do, is what Ack is doing, is going up the mountain with this equipment, right? That hookshot gives you access to everything, basically, on the mountain, outside of TR. Because with the mirror, you can go to Hera, you have your fire source. Oh, it looks like Werf going for this hover.
Yeah, well, so maybe he's only going to get this one shot. Very reasonable, because I'm like, been told that hover is probably one of the most difficult ones in the game, because you have to, like, switch directions or something, and then you have to make sure you clip kind of into that rail. Oh, Ack picking up a mushroom from Old Man.
Yeah, so this is a pretty big swing point here. If something is in pause, it's going to give werfjig a fairly significant advantage. Whereas for Werf, like the mountain's got to be his next play if he doesn't find something better to do in pod. So pod is bow locked, and it looks like he is going to leave.
He does have a potion, right?
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. Like, if you're going to make this play for pod, I feel like maybe you should fully commit to it, but I don't know.
Maybe he was only interested in checking the first couple, but as you said, though, like, it is quite the trek in order to get back here without the hammer, right? So, well, maybe he wants to save his potion for something else.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it looks like, so I will point out that Ack did not go to Catfish. So we
Yeah.
may see that on Werf's side. So that also could be somewhat significant.
Yeah. All right. So it looks like at least werfjig's going to give us a quick pyramid check, and yeah, he also could do the same thing, by the way, that Ack did, which is on his way north instead of going to Catfish, going to go over check Graveyard Ledge, and then potentially also go up the mountain as well. All right. Looks like though Ack's going to opt to do Dark Death Mountain first. We found nothing in Super Bunny Cave so far. First chest in Hookshot Cave also doesn't have anything, but I guess that's a unique rupee pile. We're finding a lot of money. That's not super helpful right now.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on either side, really. In terms of regression, at least. All right, so we will see what our TR medallion is. It is a crystal, so we are going to have to find Bombos at some point.
And Bombos can also be our entry into, well, our soft entry, I guess, into Ice Palace, right? Especially if the Fire Rod is locked back there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I guess Ack just really wants to be able to make sure he has a fairy. They are still only on, what, Ack has 6 hearts. They do have blue mail, but dead rocks don't have to be very friendly to you.
Well, I see chat pointing out that we did have the silver arrows on Floating Island.
At some point, I guess Ack is going to get
there
them.
We go.
Yeah, all right. So we finally found the hammer. In this case, werfjig though, opting to, in this case, looks like not going to go check the mountain. At least quite yet. It's going to maybe, as you said, trying to just be a little bit more thorough, and then kind of knock out in this case because he also has Mirror, Catfish, and Zora, since he has more than enough money at this point in order to pay off the fish.
Yeah, so with that hammer, we now have a fully clearable Crystal Swamp Palace. So that's looking pretty attractive as your next stop after these mountain checks. It'll be interesting to see how deep he goes into Hera, if he goes in there at all on this trip.
Oh yeah, it is a pendant. I guess maybe most people would try and at least do like the front, whatever basement cage, and then the map chest. I think just like whatever you see on the first floor. And then I guess make a decision. They do have, like, Ack does have the hook shot, and so like it may not be necessary, it might not be like that much of like a further investment if he decides to Hera plot up and kill Moldorm.
Yeah, and he saw those silvers, right? So he's got to go back up here anyway to collect them, because it's definitely time safe to do that at this point in the race. So that might sway him on going to Hera if he was thinking about not doing it. So we did see a bug net on Catfish. So werfjig not looking like he's enjoying life right now that much, but he's not too far behind coming up the mountain.
Yeah, and I think part of also like this is a high stakes race, and like kind of as we've seen, from Ack, the fact that he is trying not to panic when he almost was on the verge of death in Thieves Town is that you basically have to keep her cool. Can't let, I guess, even like minor things or major things for that matter try and basically throw you off your game.
Yeah.
Hopefully werfjig doesn't keep having these little things kind of like compound on him, because it's like he checked Catfish, didn't really pay off. He checked the first chest of Swamp, didn't really pay off. So.
All right, I've seen Ack bail on the Hera play, so I'm guessing he is going to go straight to Swamp. But the other thing about this race, right, is that these guys are in the winner's bracket still, and losing this race is not super punishing, right? You just get dropped down into the lower bracket, and you only have to win one more match to make it into that top 32 that goes on to the SpeedGaming Live Week. So it's kind of more important for these guys to give themselves a chance to win, right? If you're feeling like you have an execution disadvantage. So maybe that is the reason why werfjig is making some of these plays, right? He's like, I'm just going to make Ack as a better runner. I don't know who has better execution, and he's like, I'm going to play like this, and if I lose, so what? I just drop down. I just got to win one more match to get in anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that's certainly very reasonable, and that's actually, like, the fact that it's double elimination this year, I think is actually a very big improvement from last year. I mean, last year I think there were also other factors, like probably like time constraints and such, but last year was also single elimination, best of one, and so especially if the item placements were not in your favor, it was actually just very difficult to keep moving on to and continue on to the tournament. But the fact that it is double elimination means that people could potentially take more risks and maybe play, with a little bit more strategy. We also did see a replacement double 5 rupees, so most likely it's going to be like another bottle or another shield in this case. It is a mirage though, because it looks like 5 rupees, but when you actually go pick it up, it's actually only 5. So try not to get your hopes up too high.
Oh, I didn't know that. I've never actually picked it up.
Yeah,
I have seen it.
it's an actual like scam in this case. It tries to trick you.
Oh yeah, so Act going to Swamp here. Really, that hammer does not unlock a whole lot outside of this Swamp Palace play. So it'll be interesting to see if Act grabs a map or a compass, whether or not he decides to make an early left side play. See, I think we only got just bombs out of that first chest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, at least for werfjig, it was an actual item. May not have been useful, but at least it was an actual item. So, like, ideally, you would want to be able to see no map or compass here, and then when you clear out the rest of the dungeon, you don't also see any more dungeon items. So then you don't have to do left side at all because it's only just map and compass over there.
Yeah, so I'm going to go check the compass chest here. So you're not going left side immediately. It might be contingent on what he gets here, or whether or not he makes that decision.
Yep. All right, so we did circle around. We did find the big key. Okay,
so actually, the big key makes the left side play much more attractive, right? Because now you're never coming back in to check the big chest, especially. So it is now. It would be a bit of a risk to go back there because, man, when you pull the map and compass out of the left side, it feels.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, dude! Like. It's already like a minute plus in order just to get over there. Like even if you do diver down right the first time, it's still like a pretty hefty time commitment. And yeah, it's a really, really bad feeling, especially for a higher stakes race like this. Oh man, as we were saying this. All right, so we did find the compass. So hopefully, I guess there's gonna be at least one item over there.
Yeah, and the other thing about going left side first in this particular situation is that, like, if it gets you a sword, it also makes the Argus fight faster.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking that too. It's like, Ack here, the fact that you just say Swamp is a fully clearable crystal is 100% true, right? We have everything. We have Argus, and we have the hookshot or take down Argus, but these runners are still on Fighter Sword. You could, in this case, I guess, like, quick swap or menu over to Hammer as you do hookshot, but I mean, like, there is nothing appealing about this fight.
Yeah, it's slow, and you don't even have like a rod or
at the
bow
end, right?
to make
things
do faster. So he's gonna. It looks like he's going for the double spins. This is the fastest way to do it with Fighter Sword. Ooh, nice job getting the double hook, double spin. You got to be pretty quick.
For what it's worth, also Act does have blue mail. So these puffs, so sometimes Argus is actually one of those like seemingly innocuous bosses, partially because like you don't really expect like an early Dark World dungeon boss to do that much damage to you, but the more times the puffs hit you, suddenly you're just on like 1 heart or 2 hearts left, and you're like, oh no, I might die. But Act did a really good job here.
Yeah, that was a great Fighter Sword fight. So nice guy. He has
to hammer out. This is his best option at this point, man. It is a slow and tedious Argus fight, man.
Yeah, it's a little easier to hit him when he first drops down. Looks like Ack's got the rhythm now. All right, so what's he gonna drop, and then what decision is Ack going to make? We're getting more divergence here. Oh, nice fire rod. So that might be the catalyst that tells Ack to leave. That gives him a fully clearable ice palace.
Yeah, and if any of those people who follow the fire begets fire rule, we could very well just find bombos inside Ice Palace. And yeah, there's only one more item here left in Swamp Palace, so it is going to be quite the time commitment for Ack to basically do this. Looks like the werfjig, on the other hand, after finishing all of his mountain checks, we're going to dip into green pendant Hera. We're going to see in this case how far he decides to go.
Yeah, nice little bit of routing here. Looks like Ack going to turn in that mushroom. Probably going to take this opportunity to grab a couple of potions because his Colstare fight is looking pretty scary right now.
Fighter sword Colstare fight is like okay. So we're gonna find a sword hopefully for these guys at some point, right? Soon.
So also on the werfjig side, potentially significant find there in Hera as he pulls out the Quake medallion. We don't know if that's required yet. It could be the entry into Misery Mire.
Yeah, that's certainly true. We still need that flute in this case, but we're not going to be able to know that information until we end up finding that flute.
All right, so Ack must be going to ice.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that would be kind of over here. Especially you have Ice Palace and you don't have a bow, so you probably won't go over to the potties for now.
Yeah, we've got a straight up NMG Moldorm fight here.
Yeah,
Fighter sword
all
boots.
right.
Looks like he knows what he's doing though.
Yeah, he's just because normally seeing like a lot of approaches, I guess people like to do like dash poking into him, right, with a fighter sword. But also some people like werfjig, I can just read the RNG and chase his tail, and then basically one hook shot swing at the end takes him down.
Yeah, and Werf does run NMG, I'm pretty sure. Was he in the tournament? Do you remember?
I unfortunately don't remember. We can check.
Yeah. I'm sure someone in chat knows. So, look like he's going back in for Hera basement. Again, not looking too happy about it, but
I guess if you're here, you do everything. You've already committed. He does have a green potion as well, so he might after this go check Ether Tablet, at least see what's on Ether Tablet. We still can't get it, unfortunately, and then potentially Spike Cave. Oh, he doesn't hammer. Never mind.
Yeah,
he does not have
Spiral
hammer.
King,
yeah.
Hopefully he does that on the way back, because I think he cleared out everything.
Spiral Cave, if werfjig actually skipped it, is going to be not... I mean, yeah, he needs to go back to Spiral, because wasn't that where Hammer was?
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of important.
Yeah, so that is another potentially significant moment. I mean, werfjig seems to have been super thorough so far, so I don't really see him skipping Spiral Cave, but the more and more of these out-of-the-way checks he's doing with no reward, the worse he has to be feeling.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Nice hover.
Yeah. Oh, good job, Ack. Yeah, as demonstrated, Ack is pretty proficient with these boots. Yeah, I didn't end up forgetting that in this case, Hera basement. Well, right, he didn't find the big key. That's why Hera potted up. So this Hera pot, or the second trip up is actually like it's almost like doing the dungeon twice. All right, moment of truth. What is going to be here in the big chest of Hera? And werfjig, of course, also does have another out, which is that green pendant. Oh my gosh, okay. That is the flute, which is 100% required. Dude,
but he didn't go to Spiral, man. He got the flute.
Right. Oh my gosh, dude. I think he forgot. Like, is that... Maybe that was his cue. But, oh man, the fact that the flute is in Hera Big Chest, this is like Qualifier 1 all over again. Oh my gosh, dude.
So I don't know what's going on now. Like Axe still seems... is like pretty far ahead, but like when is he? It depends on like how the sequence of items are going to go, right? Like how bottlenecked are you going to get by that flute? But because like it's not like Ack went into Hera and skipped the flute, right? He didn't go in there at all. Yeah. I don't even know if he checked Spec Rock Cave, right? So it's pretty lucrative for him to go back there.
Yeah, that's only true. Like. He left some overworld checks over there. He basically hasn't been over there like at all. So then he has actually like that's actually a pretty good density check for him. Maybe he's interested in going back there with another sword, hopefully, so he can actually get the item off of Ether Tablet if it is something. Yeah,
but Werf is gonna get hard bottlenecked by that hammer, like not too long from now.
Is werfjig going back to Spiral Cave anytime soon?
Well, it's going to be his last location, but like, what does he have, right? Like, he's going to go into Graveyard Ledge, then he's going to go to Skull Woods, then he has...
I think he checked Graveyard Ledge, I want to say, because he did hook over here, and then he went back.
Oh, okay, so he's checking...
yeah, I think he's checking Bumper Cave, yeah. And then, yeah, potentially he's going to go into the front of Skull Woods, because what else would you be over here
for? Then he's got, like, Eastern... Mire, maybe, if it's that Quake Medallion.
Oh yeah, that's true, because we do have the flute, so werfjig is going to be able to give us at least our first look into the Mire area and see if that Quake Medallion he picked up in Hera. Then I guess is that our Mire care package potentially? You know, if it's also like Quake Medallion for entry and we found the flute as our 2 items.
Hack forgetting to pull the tongue, but he'll get back there eventually.
Oh right, he doesn't have the Canis Amaria yet. You think the mountain? Perfect location for that cane. Right after that, we would like to use it for Icebreaker.
Yeah, but when you go into Ice Palace without it, that's where you want to see it, right? So
yeah,
it's not too bad. He's smiling about it now.
Smiling from Ack, it's really mean multiple things. But I think he's just in general very happy that in order to see the cane in this case to begin with. Actually, so we're a little bit over 45 minutes in. Maybe we can take some inventory as to what we still need for go mode.
Yeah, we need what? Bow, ice rod, bombos, potentially ether, and a sword.
That's a lot of stuff, Matt.
We're gonna ped check here on werfjig's side. Yeah, he knew that was a boss before he did
soon to be ped check. As soon as we get to the right part of the light worlds.
I feel like I'm starting to learn
what
hand motions mean at this point.
I feel like
that's a good spot.
Yeah, I feel like for people who played Birded, this is much more natural for them. Maybe we can ask werfjig if he likes that mode.
Yeah, when you know how to mirror from the other direction, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, not a whole lot on bed. There wasn't. I guess there was potentially a lot that could be there. All of our remaining items could be in there actually, but okay, doing pretty good with this cold surf.
Yeah, oh yeah. So he does have blue mail. These puffs will do 3 hearts of damage, so he can actually take 1 more hit from them potentially. Gonna take out, and looks like he actually want to save that potion. Really well done though on Ack's side, basically just spamming out the fire rod.
Oh, come on, Werf, check that Meyer medallion for me. What are you doing, buddy?
Gonna check out Meyer's stuff, but maybe it'll just be ether here, and then we won't have to worry. Or maybe it'll be Bombos and Meyer, and we won't have to worry. Maybe the Bombos will just be right here. Okay, so that flute is going to be pretty critical for Ack in order to get.
Okay, so we need both items in Hera.
Yeah.
So that's actually really good for Ack. Because
do you think he'll opt to do Skull Woods with that fire rod before he goes up the mountain?
Who, Werf?
No, sorry, Ack.
Ack has the fire rod.
Oh, right. Or sorry. Do you think he'll go to Pen and Skull Woods and clear that out first before he goes up the mountain, and do Hera for another pendant?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So Werf though also finding a Master Sword though, which is required in this case for us to actually beat the game. Nice 15-minute sword basically for werfjig. Oh man. So yeah, but this is gonna be kind of unfortunate because as you said, so Werf is right here, right? He has entry from Hera. Because he picked up a quick medallion, but we know that Ack has picked up the Cane of Samaria from Ice Palace, and so this is definitely gonna be a double dip for werfjig here.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Werf, right, like he can't even get the cane without the hammer to maybe go for a fire rodless TR dip or something. I guess that doesn't make sense anyways. You need the hammer to get into TR. I'm just trying to concoct ways in my head where he can go up the mountain, but there's just nothing for him up there besides Spiral Cave.
Yeah, and I guess I'm also maybe from werfjig's perspective, he also did pick up bombos from Meyer, right? So then after this, when he doesn't find the cane, is he gonna go into Ice Palace without the hammer as well? Because he can clear it, or sorry, he can at least get in now, right? Maybe from his perspective, the hammer is just an Ice Palace.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of hammer in Ice Palace in this tournament, right? So it feels like every tournament, that's when they start putting hammer in Ice Palace.
Hammer and Ice Palace, hammer and pod, bow and pot. It's just the possibilities here are endless.
This is kind of like the classic. You play super conservative. You make one skip. werfjig's checked out. He even went in this swamp for the first item, right? And the one thing he skips is the thing that is going to punish him severely. So, but we are seeing Ack go to Pod Eastern before going to Hera, which makes perfect sense. In his mind, this is much more dense because he has these celestial checks as well. So we're going to get all of that time back, unless there's a bow in Eastern, because Werf did do Eastern.
Yeah, I was gonna say so Ack. So if you're fans of Ack right now, you want the bow to be either in Pod Eastern. So we actually know that at least based on what werfjig did, he did not do the bow lock side. So that's true. Yeah. So in this case, we know that the bow can't be the one and only bow can't be in Pod. So yeah, Ack, you're gonna have to hope that in this case Ack finds the bow in Eastern, which I mean can happen. Werf, please live. Oh my gosh. Those mini I think berries or something like that, the little red ones, that looks super close to him. I mean, I guess he does have blue mail, but still, this is not a place you want to be on such low health.
No, he should be okay.
Gosh,
it's pretty tough to get by Wizrobe in this room, but it does happen sometimes.
I was gonna say, do we have to sit through the cutscene with double heartbeats? Oh, good. Okay, it does stop. Thanks. That's one nice feature about the game.
Yeah, so we'll see what Ack decides to do, whether or not he decides to keep going once he realizes this is bow lock. He is still multiple items away from go mode outside of that bow, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him keep going.
Ack does have...
Speaking of that bow, that is in the Meyer cutscene chest.
Man, what a bad bow placement. Alright, looks like Ack though did also try to go for that, however, didn't quite end up getting in. Looks like he also gonna just make one attempt. Okay, so this is actually gonna be, I guess, good for werfjig, because with that bow, he's gonna basically go over to the pot eastern area, and then he's gonna be able to clear it out. No, sorry, he's at least he can clear out eastern. Maybe he's hoping that the hammer could be there. But yeah, we still can't finish up pot, and so he goes back to Spiral Cave for that hammer.
Yeah, and so this is kind of going to take werfjig off the path even more, because he'll probably go back to pod, right, to finish clearing it out, because there's a logic for him now look for the hammer, and he'll clear out eastern. And I will point out, this is just more and more of the required progression getting locked behind Hera for Ack, which is actually good for him, considering he's already in pod, right? So.
Yeah, because after this, that probably is going to be his next densest location, so most likely it's going to be his best option.
Nice potion glitch here on Ack's side, so we are seeing him go deeper into the dungeon. Yeah, so we're making the play that makes perfect sense from his perspective, although he's thinking twice. What's he doing?
He doesn't have the hammer, so he can't actually...
Maybe
he wants to go to... if he actually wanted to do pod first, but yeah, unfortunately he can't.
That is a good point. Then this kind of sucks as well, right? Because this is kind of the point we were making earlier, in that he has nothing to check along the way anymore, right? This is just going to pod.
Yeah, without the hammer. That basically you take for granted all of the conveniences that the hammer provides for you.
Yeah, this is just a straight time loss. It's going to take him a whole minute to get to pod dashing.
Yep. Alright, so at least Ack is going to be able to give us the back of pod checks, well, in this case, much sooner than the werfjig. Hopefully Ack's going to find something good over here.
Yeah, potentially, because we only need to see the ice rod, right?
Yeah.
That's all we got left.
Oh yeah, that's right. So we found the bow, and we did confirm that in this case it is Quake for medallion entry in Meyer, so we actually don't need Ether in this case, or any other medallions for that matter.
Yeah, we got a sword from Checkerboard.
That's right, we finally had a sword. Ideally, these runners would like to find a third sword. That would be nice. They do have silvers, right? So the Ganon fight is not going to be terrible. I mean, it'll just be a little bit slower on the first couple phases, but you really like not to have a Master Sword silverless fight. Ideally, you have tempered silvers. That would be best.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how werf comes back from this situation, and it's getting hard to see. Where could that ice rod's got to be that one check in left side swamp, I think. Oh, there's another sword. So
there's another. Okay, so yeah, okay, so that's gonna make Ack feel certainly at least a bit better about dipping in a pod and not finding the bow.
So we saw there's a Hoshrala check there that is one. I guess so. I was wrong. There is one check he gets to make along the way, going back to pod.
Yeah, I guess this is the most. I mean, if he wants to go over to pod, yeah, this is going to be the best time. Because I mean, if he just wants to check the Hoshrala, he does have the flute. But as we just see that werfjig, when he fluted to 5, he wanted to go into Dark World first.
Right. So this is best case scenario for Ack, I think, right? Because he's going to clear out Eastern. He can't find anything in here. He might find the ice rod, which is good, but it doesn't help him, right? And then he goes to Meyer, and he has to find Quake first. Again, he doesn't know. That doesn't do anything for him either. So he gets hard bottlenecked to the flute in Hera. Yeah.
Still in this case, looking at map and compass so far. So unfortunately, looks like we're going to have at least one item locked by the bow. Maybe Armos will just have the ice rod, and then we don't have to worry. Not that it's any consolation for our runners right now, because I'm sure they would rather see the ice rod sooner rather than later.
Yeah, this is the worst.
Yeah, but at least in this case, both runners are in Eastern, so we're actually going to get a slightly desynced, but werfjig is I don't know, 2 screens behind Ack at this point. Alright, so I think that was our first item, which was a heart piece.
Yeah,
that was
so
not our first item, maybe? Oh, no,
so
we found
got
a...
vanilla tea, so
Yeah.
both these guys are going to be forced to go the long way around.
And of course, they do have the lamp, so we are going to be able to see everything that they do. I mean, I guess maybe for, for at least our runner's sake, like the fact that they did find lamp pretty early, and they have pod basement, they have mire basement. I mean, like these runners are more than capable of doing the dark rooms, but it's certainly just much more convenient when you actually you can see what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So obviously, werfjig going to be able to complete the dungeon. Then what does he do?
He is going to finish up pod, so he will get his tempered at least. Oh no, actually, he can't. Well, yeah, he can still get back there, right?
Yeah. He mirrored into Eastern because it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense to do Eastern first because the hammer could still be here, right? From his perspective. Okay, so I think Ack is hard. All he's got is the Hera ether tablet stuff left, I think. So I think that's where we will see him go.
All right, it looks like hook shot out, quick swapped, and so this is not going to be a flute away. He doesn't have the flute, never mind. So yeah, starting on the mountain, he's definitely going to be able to check the rest of, in this case, West Dark Mountain as soon as he gets back up to try and avoid those boulders.
And there is I will point out that bow was in the Mire cutscene chest, so there is a potential that Ack skips that, which could make this race very interesting as well.
So bad.
Because he's gonna get bombos, right? So he's gonna know he has at least ice rodless TR open to him.
I guess I'm not as familiar with how I guess aggressive Ack is, like with Mire, if he immediately if there's only one item left, he goes back immediately to go kill Vitreous and hope, versus he just full clears the dungeon. I guess we're gonna see what happens in this specific race because it's always situational.
Yeah. Right, so we've got Silver Arrows Armos, pretty straightforward. Okay, so no Ice Rod in Eastern Palace. I mean, the Ice Rod at this point is looking real likely to be just sitting in Turtle Rock somewhere.
Yeah, so what? Hammer and pod, hammer and ice, bow and pod, ice rod and Turtle Rock. These are these are really convenient locations for when you want to have the item inside the dungeon that you're trying to beat, right? Really convenient for our runners. Samari and RP, yeah.
Ack getting his Quake Medallion, realizing, oh, that does absolutely nothing for me. I better keep going.
Yeah, so similar to, of course, to werfjig, he's going to try and Hera pod up. Unfortunately, just had to open the door. He's really going to hope that Moldrum has the last item. Of course, we know werfjig said that's not true, and so for him, hopefully for his side, he's hopefully going to be able to stay in the basement, get his big key, and then go back up and get his flute.
Yeah, he's got to. I think I saw someone in chat mention hammer pegs. I think that might be the only location that Ack will have outside of Hera Big Chest. So I mean, you're not going to leave Hera Big Chest to check just hammer pegs, So
Ack does have Spiral Cave too, right? That is an option since he has the hammer this time. These are kind of
Spike Cave,
really...
yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, Spike Cave. Yes, that is. Thank you for saying what I actually meant. I just got. Is that a reason why you don't dash into?
Focus on Spiral Cave in this race. I don't blame you.
Is that a reason? We saw actually she just got bumped out of the arena. Is that why you don't dash into and jump down?
I always dash in and I take what comes to me anyway.
Okay.
So I'm sure there's some strategy around that. I guess he's going to have Sahasra in that too. But I think he's going to go back in. In general, you don't always want to skip bad checks just to go to other bad checks. And all Ack has left are bad checks. Yeah, he's going back in. So this is obviously very good for him.
Okay, so he's going to be able to find his flute eventually. Do you think he'll do Spike Cave then after this? Because that is basically the last thing that he has in this area, right?
Yeah,
but it is long. I don't know.
Tough. It's difficult because you could get back to it with TR potentially, but I don't know. I don't know what to do. You're right in that they have to come back to the mountain anyway. Specifically because Turtle Rock is a crystal, but I don't know. Spike Cave is all the way on the other side of the mountain, and who knows?
All right, so
yeah, it'd be an interesting decision for sure.
Yeah, isn't rando fun? You get to make all of these interesting decisions. I'm sure it looks really cool from our perspective when we're just kind of sitting here and like speculating, and then like I don't know, it seems like it could be quite tense for like in the situation for our runners. Because you also, I don't know, I feel like this type of race also don't really give you like that good of a sense for where your opponent is. So that also might be a further cause of tension.
Yeah, I gotta imagine Ack is not going to be feeling spectacular. I mean, he can't assume his opponent skipped Spiral Cave, but you definitely could have skipped this flute. So maybe he'll be feeling a little better about that, right? Especially if you like went up to Hera first.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Because I get either consciously or not, he explicitly avoided basically all of the West Mountain for him, just so he doesn't have to maybe make this decision.
Okay, it looks like we're not getting
right.
Oh no! Oh, he thought about not doing it. He must be doing it now that he mirrored out.
He mirrored versus save and quit, right? Yeah, that might have been his pensive look. You know, maybe like he was probably happy to see that flute, but just in order to be thorough, he is going to finish up Spike Cave.
So we're turning that mushroom. Gonna obviously not get a whole lot here. So now what does he do?
Looks like he is hard resetting. Maybe we're gonna get a fake powder check eventually. We still don't have the Canis Amara, which we know is Nice Palace.
Yeah, he's pulling up the flute, so this is probably gonna be Ice Palace, I would think. He's fluting to 3. What does he have over here still? Oh.
What does he have over here? I'm trying to think.
I don't know. Did he skip an item in Skull Woods potentially?
Did he not go to the back? Maybe. Maybe he only just did like the first part of it, and didn't do like the Nilibiki chest. He doesn't have the fire rod.
Yeah, this is interesting. So I guess he's making this choice before Ice Palace. Yeah, I guess maybe he grabbed the vanilla big key chest and then just went and checked the pedestal.
Mm-hmm. All right, looks like Ack is
your second item.
Yep, he found his one item. That's right, not the progression he's looking for.
Yeah, he looked like he. So this is now. Well, I mean, I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to start the mount regardless.
He still has the flute out, which means this is not going to be Spiral Cave. Oh, Ack though, that was actually a bit of nice game knowledge. He refilled basically his magic after Spike Cave because he knows he's going to go into the Mire area when he did not have enough magic in order to activate a medallion. So if he does happens to find, in this case, Quake or Bombos, he's going to be really sad if he can't basically get it because he doesn't have enough resources. He's going to be really happy that in this case. So it was really good use of game knowledge and magic management.
Yeah, some people in chat think that perhaps he forgot about Spiral Cave.
Did he? I don't know. Well,
it is an often skipped location, right?
He did seem like from his reaction though, like after he saved and quit, like he was pretty like livid about it. Like it seemed like that he meant to do Spiral Cave, but maybe by this point, like maybe one thought was if something big is in Spiral Cave, like the hammer, maybe I've already lost this race. So he's maybe trying to like play out to like one of his win conditions.
Yeah, I mean, he can't be feeling too good, right? If I was Werf, I might be checking the Discord to see if Dante had already pinged my opponent at this point, right? So
it doesn't happen until we gotta wait 20 more minutes for that for that match. All right, though Ack though, yeah. So this is also very understandable. He saw a fully clearable crystal dungeon, and actually at this point though, Ack is just looking for, I guess, a bow and the ice rod, right? So from his perspective, if both items are here, then he is in go mode. We know that from Werf's side, we saw another sword and checkerboard cave. Most likely, he'll get that after Mire. Yeah. But at least, and actually, man, Ack doesn't. Oh no, Ack's gonna be very fortunate. Assuming he does do cutscene chest. Before Vitreous, he is going to be super happy to find that bow because that is going to be the perfect weapon in order to take down Vitreous. Right now, I'm sure Ack is kind of like dreading the fight, right? You do have Cape, but you're on Master Sword, and you probably don't want to end up using like another potion.
Yeah, and so I think, if I remember correctly, it was the Big King Compass chest?
I think they just, yes. Yeah, because Ack just got it on his side. And he didn't do cutscene quite yet.
Okay, so based on the kind of the item layout, it does encourage. It's not like he's going to find one of the items and then find the big key, which might make you gamble vitreous. Act is not grabbing that key at all.
Yeah, did he just forget? Did he just move too fast to the door?
Yeah, I think he was too quick for his own good on that one.
Luckily, keys don't despawn, you know, from enemies.
Okay, so he is going to the compass chest. So this out
chest,
for
right?
Worf is getting eliminated at this point.
Also good on Ack in order to pick up the full magic drop. I mean, he does have potions. You don't want to use them, but there's only been instances where runners are also too fast for them good. Pick up the pot, tries to pick up the big magic refill, but then, you know, misses, goes up the stairs for muscle memory, and then you have to go find another source of magic. Right,
yeah, so Worf doing his kind of slow march. I guess after this Ice Palace check, we'll know whether or not he actually forgot about Spike Cave or is aware that it is, I think, going to be his single check in the game remaining.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think back to what werfjig has open to him without that hammer. Like, we have seen both tablets, at least knowledge-wise, right? So it's not going to be anything available to him there.
So now this is the feels bad man moment. I guess he has a small key now, so he can go up and check the Spike chest.
Sir, I mean, but it's like you've gone for an hour, almost an hour and 10 minutes without that hammer. Like, there's just like, you cannot possibly feel good in this situation. But I think werfjig is still you know, keeping his head in the game. Like, he's definitely still trying to play for his win conditions.
Yeah, so Ack's gonna pull the second item out here out of Meyer as well, which I think we know is 10 arrows out of the big chest, if I remember. Nope, I'm wrong, but
maybe it was 10 arrows here? Maybe it was a small key here?
Oh, Werf looks confused. Okay, I think chat might be right that he did completely forget about Spiral Cave. He's thinking. He's looking at his tracker. Yeah, this definitely looks like he looks very confused.
Yeah.
It's another benefit of these cameras. Yeah, okay, he's doubling back on things now, so he definitely just completely forgot about it.
It seems like it could also just be one of those things, especially if you're using one of those like map trackers, I guess, that like checks out like your locations, right? Like when you're up the mountain, like do you sometimes just like click everything? Like, you know, like in the area, just so like, you know, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do Paradox and then Spiral just like out of muscle memory, and then this can be certainly a dangerous spot.
The one lesson that everybody learns is to never pre-click any locations because this will happen to you, and this is such a horrible feeling, especially in this situation. Like you got to feel for the guy. Like this happens to everybody, and to have it happen in this kind of spot really sucks.
But you know, as you did say earlier, Matt, this is a double elimination tournament, so werfjig is certainly not out of the tournament. He is just going to, in this case, you know, assuming like I guess in this case, if Ack does win, he'll just drop down to the losers bracket. He is up close and personal now with his tracker, really trying to remember what he has and hasn't done, man.
Yeah, I think he might be pulling up the VOD potentially at this point, just... so I can see nobody got the second item in Misery Mire because it was on Vitreous. So we got to imagine Ack is heading up to TR right now, and it is extremely likely that that is where the Ice Rod is.
Yeah, so I'm not a huge checkerboard.
Oh yeah, he's got to finish off Pod and Eastern, but I mean, in terms of items, he's gonna...
So hopefully he will just go do checkerboard now. He'll get his third sword, and then yeah, he'll finish up Pod Eastern. Not sure how good he feels currently right now, just because he did have to do Pod Eastern like twice. But it is kind of like maybe a bit more difficult decision. Like in order to like, you have to go up and do Pendant Hera, like the entire thing, right? You cleared out, including the basement, in order to get your bow.
Yeah,
so
if I were
Ack,
I think.
bad.
I think he'd be feeling pretty good just because of the sequence at which he did things. It really forced him to get that big chest, and like that's a location that like a huge percentage of the field in this tournament would have skipped if they went up to Hera, like the first time in Death Mountain. Yeah, so now we're just kind of trying to think about what it could possibly be. It sucks is that when you realize it, either where they're thinking it yourself or after the race is over, it immediately clicks what you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as you're saying, like, this lesson, oh, poor guy.
The list
poor guy, yeah.
12 minutes in, still checking those maps.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it would be pretty bad if he actually like miscounted. I think that would be like a pretty feels bad regardless. But yeah, like as you said, it's just if it happens, I guess maybe it's not. At least it doesn't end his tournament life here. But he's thinking.
Yeah, exactly. It's so difficult too because you're obviously panicking at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
so it's hard to like think as clearly as you would like to while panicking like this.
Yeah, I mean, like you are already in a pretty high stakes match, right? As you said, this is the winner's bracket round 32. He's facing a pretty formidable opponent, and right now he is just trying to get himself back on the right track to find basically the one item location that he marked off his tracker, which is Spiral Cave, and he needs to go back to.
Oh, maybe he remembered.
Maybe?
Yeah, it looks like he remembered. That look
okay.
He definitely remembered now. Is there do you know if there's an item left in pod? Could we get our ice rod here potentially?
I want to say yes, maybe on Helma?
All right, so he's okay, good. Our track is really on top of things, telling us there is still an item left in pod.
For what it's worth, at least werfjig got locked out by the hammer. Like there are actually a lot of places that he like. I think it severely limits like the scope of which like the check that he made was, right. Like if you mismark something and you're looking just like for like let's say like an ice rod, there could be a lot of more places that one item can be. Oh man! All right, at least werf is going in the right direction. Hopefully he's not gonna feel too bad after finding this hammer.
Yeah, let me see what this reaction is.
All right, confirmed item on pod.
Just stoic.
Yep.
He's accepted his fate at this point.
I mean, he hasn't seen the dot done yet, I guess, for what it's worth. So, but it certainly is not going to be in a very high morale boosting position right now that werfjig has.
All right, so Ack just gotta clean up this Eastern Palace, then he'll probably be making his way up to TR.
Yeah, we also right on werfjig's side, we saw him defeat Armos earlier because he did have the bow earlier than Ack. It was just 3 bombs. We just also see on Ack's side that Helma ended up just dropping a heart piece, so we still don't know where that ice rod is. But it seems like at least we have one item left on left side swamp, right? And otherwise, it's in Turtle Rock somewhere.
Yeah, hammer pegs. Did we do hammer pegs?
We did not do hammer pegs. You are right.
That's it. I think that's all we got. There might be something else that I'm not. We got both items of skull and desert.
Yes. Yeah, the desert for sure. I want to say also yes for Skullwoods because werfjig ended up going back.
I mean, it could be the pedestal.
I think werfjig checked that. It was just
you're
right.
Or
something. We did turn in Sahasla for the green pendant. Yeah, but I mean, I certainly imagine that at this point, like maybe Ack does hammer picks quickly. I don't know. But it seems like though, like if the Turtle Rock, if the ice rod is just in Turtle Rock, then Ack has a very nice way to finishing up the seed.
Yeah, and like collectively, we know it's just hammer pegs, but Ack's got a bunch of extra stuff as well. That's not just hammer pegs. So I can just see him go TR, and he can save his portal if need be. I think he's done all the mirror checks.
All right, Silver Arrow's fight here coming up for Ack. Hopefully should be relatively quick. Meanwhile, the werfjig is going to drop down into Helma.
Yeah, that was pretty clean right there.
Six crystals down for Ack. He does have the flute out, so I mean, he could be fluting anywhere, but most likely this will be a trip up the mountain. And it's so nice to be able to see these darker. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, Ack, man, I love that. Love to see that. Pulling the Waffle House drive-through. Thank you for that.
Maybe he knows that you're on commentary, Matt. What do you think?
I hope so. He forever a place in my heart now.
Yeah. werfjig taking down Helmasaur, no problem. So this is also not going to be the ice rock for him, but he has, at this point, a lot of crystal dungeons he needs to clear. But at least in this case, he can basically just almost go straight to the boss at this point. Like, he's already cleared a lot of Ice Palace, already cleared a lot of Mire. Basically, just at this point, he just needs to collect his crystals.
Yeah, kind of unfortunately for him, right, is that, like, the only item out of TR we think he's going to find is the cane, but he's probably going to put off Ice Palace for as long as possible to try to get the cane before he does it, because he's already cleared out as much as he could without the hammer, so he's probably going swamp before ice. So that ice rock could be left side swamp.
Oh yeah, that's actually true. I was actually wondering like what his decision was going to be. You know, based on the fact that swamp is basically well, he got the first item out of swamp earlier, but he has basically a lot more checks open to him. So yeah, this if he's interested in trying to find that King of Samaria before Ice Palace, so he doesn't have to do Ice Palace bomb jump twice basically, and clear out Ice Palace front to back 2 times, then this is going to be very reasonable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He also has to get fire out of Hera out of swamp as well. But like, man, I don't even know if ice rod on left side swamp is enough at this point.
No, well, werfjig does have. Let's see. He has 3 crystals down. He needs 3 more before he goes up. But at least I think they're hopefully going to be. Hopefully they're not going to be too slow. But as you said, like. That you're basically looking at 3 crystal dungeons partially cleared, like basically like go to the boss, versus like Ack going through the entirety of Turtle Rock, which I think Ack's gonna finish out faster.
Yeah, it's certainly looking that way.
But I mean, especially in Ack's sake, sometimes you know, Ack I think was in his first round match against MacTap, and Ack was behind, you know, at least like a dungeon or so's worth of time, and you know, Ganon and Ganon's Tower is not free, even, you know, regardless of the caliber of runner you are.
Yeah, I stopped watching that race. I was like, oh well, too bad. This is over. And then I saw someone posting in Discord like, "GG Zach." I was like, what?
All right, so Ack's certainly taking his time to make sure that he doesn't die from chomps, which is very good.
Yeah, and like at this point for Werf, like I think you have to go left side swamp because you're certainly not going to win by finding the fastest route, right? Like that might be the only out you have. It's like always interesting. I mean, in werfjig's position, you have to know that you have to kind of play to your outs, but like seeing what runners do differently. Like you saw in that Zelga obscure race yesterday, Zelga go to swamp, Pennant Swamp before going to Crystal TR, and that was the only play that could potentially have brought him back into that race, right?
Yeah, I mean, it turns out, at least from like a viewer's perspective, right? Like the race was much closer than I think either runner could have I think, and then really like people realize. And in fact, I think, you know, like, and of course, Zelga's definitely gonna play to his outs, right? But it's just like, you know, ended up some of like the longer overworld checks that Zelga ended up doing just ended up costing a little bit more extra time.
Yeah, and we saw, I remember in the Eri Tisu race, Eri make the tile room play, which was the only thing at that time that would have put him back ahead. So it's kind of interesting to see some of these guys kind of realize where they're at and play to those outs.
Yeah, I mean, this also just comes from, I think, tournament experience as well. Alright, werfjig. Trying to, in this case, get a couple more items. Alright, so we haven't found the ice rod yet on X side. Hopefully it'll... Well, okay, so I guess we still have like a lot of checks remaining here in Turtle Rock. Certainly the back is going to be much more dense. Still waiting to see basically if the ice rod's here, because if the ice rod's not here, then Ack's going to have to make his trip basically back down the mountain. It's going to be able to give werfjig a little bit of time back. Assuming he does left side and is there. Or we can just, find the ice rod basically in its closest neighboring location, which is effectively Turtle Rock anyway. I actually sometimes wish they put Mimic Cave like in the Turtle Rock like section, because it basically is. It's not really overworld. But with that, Ack at 122 is in go mode.
Yeah, you saw a kind of nice head nod there on X side. I think he's feeling pretty good about his position, actually. It's hard to tell, but...
All these guys have a very, very stoic, well, maybe with the exception of werfjig early on in the race, who was quite animated. But there's a lot of focus concentration that you can see based on for these runners.
Yeah, it is difficult to do anything and play this game at the same time. Yeah, see, we're going back in. Yeah. From his perspective, this has to be one of the only ways he can win. This makes sense too. So he's like making the smart play.
Yeah, and as you said, right, if the ice rod is here, especially if there's one item, you know, he knows that Ack, chances are, had got the swamp, and the fact that there's only one item here, like on left side, especially on the earlier side, like maybe Ack has, you know, it's a very good chance that Ack has just skipped this item, right? So if the ice rod is here, he knows Ack's not going to come back here for quite some time.
Yeah, so Ack just gotta grab his small key that he knows is on Laser Bridge, and he's certainly nothing else that's gonna help him. So he's gonna make his way to Ganon's Tower now after taking down Trinex.
Yeah, and of course, you know, we see Ack basically skipping all the other chests. He just needs a small key right now. I mean, he has blue mail and he has what, like 9 hearts, 10 hearts, you know, to his name. Like, he can't really, like, there's not really much else he can actually get that would help him, right? Like, he might be able to do like a little bit more health, but you know, he's got temper, he's got silvers. He should be hopefully fine for the rest of the seed.
Yeah,
and he's got 2 potions, right?
In this, right? Yeah, that too. So going with the old front door Trinex.
No ice on the ground. That's always a good sign.
No, hey,
especially
one
for
cycle
front
is
door.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we're kind of also seeing the tedium of left side swamp on werfjig side.
Yeah, especially going back in, not being able to do the diver down.
But I mean, you know, the game doesn't care necessarily about how convenient the items are placed. It can be like the longest possible check for you, and it can still be progression.
Yeah, so it's like such a shame that Werf forgot Spiral Cave, because based on the time that he did Hera, this would have been a super interesting race, because Ack had a pretty decent lead at that point, but like that Hera play, like as we were saying, like really brought him back into it, and then we realized he didn't go to Spiral Cave, and it was like oh no.
Yeah, and the fact that, right, so like the sequencing that Werf chose, right, in this case, was because he did Hera, and Hera basically had the Mire package, and the Mire had the bow, right? We also did see the Ack basically make a double dip into Pod Eastern, right? So that actually would have been time game on werfjig's side. Oh, right. Ack has finished Turtle Rock. We're supposed to play some sort of like GT Big Key guessing game or something. Feel free to make your guesses in chat. Where do you think the GT Big Key is? 1 through 22. I think Ack historically has gone left first, but not in this case because we're going right to Hope Room. Thank you, Ack. There certainly could be some opinion. So this could be one of 2 common paths. It goes to Hope Room, finds a small key, he keeps going. If not, he mirrors out and then continues left. So checks 1 and 2 are nothing.
Yeah, I've seen some people go Hope Room, DM room, and then go back right side. I don't think.
Yeah, I think actually Obscure did that yesterday. I think in his race against Zelda. But yeah, I haven't seen Ack basically do like a left right, sorry, right left right type of thing. We just see 20 rupees here. That was either our 4th sword or our replacement boots. I guess we'll never know. Looks like Ack, though, is not interested in mirroring out to Hope Room, the fact that he has tried to kill these Stalfos with sword beams. If I have also seen other runners, you know, also try and take out the Ether Medallion in order to clear out that room. Because hitting Stalfos with sword beams or really anything, it actually can be quite difficult.
Yeah, see, the best way to kill those Stalfos is just to never kill those Stalfos.
See, okay, so I feel like you are a Stalfos from first person, Matt.
Yes, even though I curse it constantly.
I believe that there might be some dissenting opinions for that route. We still haven't found it yet. We're also supposed to be keeping track, right? Okay, so it was 3 from Torches, 7 from Stalfos, 8 in Firebar, 9 from Fire Snake. So this is 10 through 13.
I trust you. I'm not going to try and
but
do
you know,
that
I'm
now.
not supposed to be able to like count and stuff. Normally the other person does this. Oh, okay, so werfjig here very quickly is actually going to stumble upon his Kena Samaria that he was really hoping to find earlier in Swamp. Hopefully he'll have a good sense of humor.
To answer Hitsu in chat, werfjig left the hammer in Spiral Cave is why Ack is so far ahead. Mind you, Ack was a little bit ahead when that happened, but that's why he is miles ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, and as you said earlier, Matt, like if werfjig actually picked up the hammer, I think this would have been actually very interesting, very close race. Just because Ack, the way that he because it was a Meyer care package and pendant Hera, he had to go basically sit through the basement and get your flute out of Hera Big Chest. Apparently, that's the theme of this this competition. Ack was going to have to delay getting his bow out of Meyer, and then he ended up dipping Eastern Pod first without it. So it's certainly going to be a little bit more time. Yeah, we still haven't found the big key yet.
No, so potentially that left-right route would have paid off, but we shall see. Nope, there she is. All right. Ack just getting extra keys never going to use for good measure and making his way up the tower.
Yeah. All right, so I think that was so 13 was Rando Room, and then 14 was Bob Chest, and then it was 15, 16 because he was the second chest.
Yeah, that's what our tracker's
good.
saying.
All right, all right. You know what? Link4 says that, then you know I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna trust.
Two people can never be wrong.
Yes, exactly. All right, so Ack actually does have. I mean, he's not in terrible health shape. He does have blue mail. He's gonna at least try and stay alive. Got 7 hearts to work with here, so Gauntlet hopefully shouldn't be too bad. He does have safeties, of course. Ideally, you would not want to use your safeties now. You want to maybe save them for Ganon. werfjig, though, taking down Cold Stare.
Really nice Cold Stare fight on werf sides. Yeah, Ack is actually close to kind of the most health / defense you could have in this situation, right? You can only get up to 14 hearts, and it's pretty tough to get there.
Yeah, given I think one card today was on the pedestal, so we definitely were going to get that get up maximum today.
Yeah, there's another one on a tablet too, right? So
yeah, that's right. We never went back to Bombo's tablet. So basically everything that these runners have gotten is basically through heart pieces, which just goes to show you just how many there are. Oh, dude, that's nice.
This is a hot gauntlet right now.
Oh my gosh, really dude, Ack is showing off his execution. And if we were gonna see any type of
even hits damage, like that was really good. Mm-hmm. Even with the bow Stalfos saving the magic, which is kind of what he needed to do.
I heard Ack was second place in one of those main tournaments at some point. Maybe he knows a thing or two about this game.
Right, so Ack now just got to get through these Wizrobe rooms as werf here taking down his last 2 crystals.
Ack making sure that he can try and grab I guess as many hearts as he possibly can. I mean, the fact that he didn't take any damage, right, through the gauntlet, I mean, just even better testament to how good his execution was.
Yeah, Ack played really well.
Right. I think he should have enough magic that he doesn't need the big pot here. So yeah, it looks like he can actually just go up and he can even fire 5 shots, it looks like, maybe.
Yeah, he should be good. Ack, trust sign Ack. Not waiting for that jingle bell.
Yeah. Well, so I guess we can safely bypass that door. I guess Axe still has to be a little bit careful here on Moldorm 2. I do think that they did revert like their initial fix, because their initial fix ended up making quadrant glitch like more probable or more likely. But still something that is not completely gone yet.
Yeah, you definitely can still quadrant glitch. Nice little dodging there you had to do to take down Moldorm 2.
He has every confidence in his Ganon 2 fight that he is not going to die. That's why he did open the chest. werfjig though, machine gunning down Vitreous phase 1, all those little eyeballs gone, and Vitreous phase 2 is down.
I will say, like, despite his one huge mistake, werfjig has played like extremely well as well. Like I faced werfjig in the 2019 main tournament groups, and like I can just tell from this that he's improved a ton.
No, his execution has been very, very on point today, right? You saw his somehow clean his boss fights have been. I mean, like, and of course, like both runners are very good execution, right? You saw a lot of like good syncing going on, room for room. It's just really unfortunate that that unfortunately, like the one he was basically punished like maximum punishment basically for leaving one check, which is Spiral Cave, and it just happened to have the hammer in this case.
Looks like Werf getting, I think, what is the one remaining check in the game outside of DR, which is a hammer bags for him. I mean, this makes sense. We only got one off mountain check. All right, so Ack dropping in the Ganon fight. Extremely well equipped to take this on.
Yeah, he's got 5 hearts, so he is not in one-hit KO mode from Fire Bats.
Getting the bottom right RNG.
Yeah,
this one can be.
This looks good.
Going inside the circle. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, so it looks like he actually ended up getting 1-1 here. So just has to have Ganon stop moving in phase 3, and then he can go on to phase 4. And then he is like just a little bit, like 30 seconds or something to a minute. That's right, werfjig. Just in case, checking out what could be an Ice Rod. Because, for all he knows, the powders in Turtle Rock, and you have to come back here, right?
That's true. Yeah, from his perspective, he certainly doesn't think he's going to win if Ice Rod's in TR.
It is blue. And
something,
it is, like, long.
Unique item.
It is. Not quite the blue item that he was looking for, though. Speaking of blue, Ack is, 1 silver arrow into this? That was 3
nice
more.
Triple.
Yeah, no, really nice setup for Ack. He just needs to cross this bridge, whatever. Wait for the fanfare, and then he will be moving on to the round of 32, potentially facing Matt 798 eventually. But he is going to be able to advance onto the losers brackets, or winners bracket side of things. Get your GGs in chat out for Acktheboker, who is the winner of today's race, and looks like, understandably, werfjig is no longer interested in continuing to play the game.
Looks like we're joined by Ack. Ack, GG's, man.
Ack, GG's.
Great
How
run.
are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel better than I did an hour and 34 minutes ago.
Wait, what happened at minute 1? What happened?
It's a little relieving to not have to go dance in the losers bracket.
Okay, that's fair.
That losers bracket is scary. It's scarier than parts of this winners bracket.
But yeah, it was I don't know. This was also a real spooky seed, if you ask me.
How are you feeling when you pulled the flute? Like, you couldn't be feeling too good about the Pod Eastern play, but you did kind of get hard bottlenecked into that. Like, at that point in the race, did you think you were in a good spot?
So, kind of. Because it was not a last location. I never did hammer pegs, I never did skull woods, and I never did catfish or left side swamp. I think those were the only things I didn't do. But given how crappy all of the items were, I felt like missing anything would be good, because you had like 3 or 4 items that were so easily skippable this seed. And if you fall into like one of those traps, then I feel like you're in an okay spot. But I could have also fell into one if, you know, the ice rod was at any of those aforementioned locations too.
Yeah, the one thing we were saying that it was good that you had to find the Quake before the Flute in Hera. That could have been. And so I'm assuming you know what happened to your opponent.
Yeah, he
in
did
that.
tell me that he skipped Spiral Cave. But like,
Yeah.
even when you get the Mire, is a God Mire, and then Vitreous has an item, are you just like, all right, see you later, I'm going to Turtle Rock, you know? Or do you go back to cutscene and get the bow? Like, at that point, I had had enough. I was opening everything in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seemed like even when you started Hera, you did everything, right? Like you got Quake first, and then you sat through the basement, got your big key, went back up to get your flute, sat through Mire cutscene chest, even though it was a favorable path to Vitreous for you, like you did everything. So, and I mean, in this case, thoroughness paid off for you.
Yeah, it got real ugly towards the end, but like, I mean, that even skipping Samaria was super easy in this seed too, because you're just like, I got 2 items. I could just go kill Cold Stare and leave, or I could walk all the way back to the vanilla big key chest. Like, I hated everything about this.
Yeah, that's true. Because even like when werfjig, we knew he'd skip the hammer. There were still a bunch of outs for him. Like because we were talking about that bow and like what if that shows on left side swamp and all this stuff. And you're right, this was a really tricky seed to navigate, and so playing pretty thorough like you did really helped you out.
Yeah, I mean, and it was a weird. It was, you know, I started playing thorough basically after Swamp, and that was the correct time to turn it on. But I mean, like, I was not comfortable any point until I got the ice rod, which was, you know, at the end of it. So it was, it felt very nervous the whole time. But it was fun outside of that, I guess. Almost dying in Thieves Town, you know, that was stressful.
Yeah, Hellway was.
Yeah,
scary.
that was. But I think in this case, Matt pointed out that like you read the RNG correctly. So then you were at least able to avoid imminent death. It just looked really nerve-wracking while you were trying to do that.
Matt said I read the RNG correctly. That most certainly had to have been the case, because I definitely know what I'm looking at.
You did. You
So-
got the dash, and
Oh, yeah,
you backed
you're right,
off. You
you're
were
right.
going to get hit again.
I didn't hit the pixel though, so I wasn't gonna dash anyways. But no, you're right. I noticed that the Patrick stars were in a completely inappropriate position because my SGL notebook here shows all of the pictures of what they're supposed to be in, and I looked down and I was like, no, I can't dash here. You're right, Matt. Totally planned.
There you go.
We do also appreciate the fact that you dashed through Waffle House screen. I think it was a very nice gesture that you did.
Yeah, it made my day. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
For what?
The Waffle House drive-through ad.
When you were
Just-
going up
just tell me you did
to
it for
Turtle
me
Rock.
so I can feel good,
Yeah.
please.
Oh yeah, I did it. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we're getting told here that we got to get out of here. So I just want to plug. There is a race coming up between Gem and Boyne. What time is that, Clear Mouse?
That is
2:20.
2:20
with,
p.m.
with
Eastern.
the 2 people joining me here on voice on commentary. So that is going to be a hot race with some great commentary. So tune in for that.
Do we even leave? Do we just stay here? No.
I
Have a
think
good
we have
one,
to get
guys.
kicked out. Yeah, well, it looks like someone are trying to clear out the channel so we can get on to another league match. But thank you so much, Ack. Hopefully, also if you're out there, werfjig, GGs. You did run a really good race. It was just really unfortunate that the one item location that you did not end up visiting in a timely manner happens to be that hammer. Certainly, best of luck to you in the losers bracket. If you run, I think you play Hayfield, and Ack moving on to round of 32. I think you play Flip Heel. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. Lots of talent in this bracket, so lots of excitement coming up. And of course, yeah, thank you to our tracker, Link Force, clicking all the buttons. Thank you so much, Matt, for joining me here on commentary, taking time out of your day this morning in order to do this. A lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks, Clear Mouse. It was a good time.
Yeah. And of course, thank you, werfjig and Ack, for letting us restream you. You guys are awesome runners, and really looking forward to your next races. Any more final words from you, Matt, before we sign off?
No, just GG's, guys. And there's a lot more good races to come in this tournament.
Oh, thank you again, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, see ya.
All right, goodbye, everybody.